Hi everybody, just coming to you from my kitchen again. Today I'm going to talk about jerky. Now this happens to be one of my family's, one of the things that they really enjoy is a good batch of jerky. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I'm going to show you before I touch the meat, I want to show you a few ingredients. Now in my book, liquid smoke, and it doesn't matter what type you pick. This one happens to be a Mystique flavored one. This one, I've never tried this brand before because that happened to be all they had in with the shelves cleared a little bit. I've done this one multiple times. This is Wright's Hickory. So there's another brand. So you can pick your brand of smoke, but I think all jerky needs smoke. I always use my Worcestershire sauce in my jerky. I add the red hot for a little bit of, it doesn't really make it spicy, but it does add some really good flavor to it. And I actually am pretty generous with this, and it's not, nobody's ever said, oh my gosh, this stuff's burned my face off or anything, but this is really a good one. Your honey, and I like a nice raw honey, and your honey is gonna help you kind of help things stick to it. It adds a little bit of sweetness to it. I try not to add too much oil because I find it makes it kind of greasy, but the honey is a really good thing to add. And then I always do a seasoning. So this is the smoky applewood. I've done the chipotle. I've done a combination of different spices. But I happen to like our barbecue, our smoky applewood, and our chipotle the best if you're looking for a seasoning. This is technically a rub, still can be used as a seasoning. The next thing you have to have is you have to have a lean cut of beef or pork or turkey or whatever you're gonna do. If you have a ton of fat on it, it tends to be too rubbery for my family. I'm actually gonna cut mine this way. So if you look at the grain of my meat, I don't know if you can see that now that I'm touching, I can't touch anything else, but see that? This is a pretty lean cut of beef. I did have to take some of the fat off. And if you want to take fat off, I usually just grab onto the fat. I don't know if you can see this in the video, and just kind of seesaw underneath as you pull. And sometimes you get a little bit of the meat with it, sometimes you don't. But I can usually take off a nice amount of the fat if there's some big pieces. This one I happen to go through and it seems to be pretty good so far. So I've taken off a lot of it already. So the next thing you want to use is another sharp knife, a really sharp knife, and on a decent cutting board so you're not dulling your knife. Well, let's see which way. I gotta go this way for you to see this. I don't know if I can back that up a little bit. There we go. All right, so when you go to cut this, always be knife safe. You don't want to be, cutting your fingers off or something like that. Most people, the way to grab the knife is this way. I personally am going to work with a bread knife. The bread knife has a serrated blade, which actually allows me to cut pretty thin pieces. And I just take my time on this. And they may not all be full perfect pieces, but they're gonna be thin like this. And then we're gonna throw them in my batter bowl for marinating. Now, marinating is totally up to you. You don't want to leave it in your refrigerator too long because you don't want it to get bad. And you can add different seasonings and salts and stuff like that, but see, you're going to keep cutting nice and thin. So I don't like mine too thin because then they dry out wrong. But anyway, you're going to want to leave it in. I usually leave mine for 24 to maybe 36 hours of marinating. I'll go in and either, swish it around or stir it around or whatever. So keep your meat thin and stuff like that. I used to have a dehydrator when I moved up to our new place. I have very limited storage. So the dehydrator, because I wasn't using it a ton, disappeared. So actually it got donated or sold or something, who knows. But anyway, so the one thing that I have really, really enjoyed, I don't want to touch anything. Hold on, one second. And keep in mind, when you're working with raw meat, to really make sure you keep your hands clean before you touch anything else. You don't want to transfer bacteria. But anyway, I'm going to slide this over here. And this right here is our new air fryer. And the air fryer has the air fry, the bake, the roast, rotisserie reheat, and dehydrate. So anybody that doesn't have a ton of room in your kitchen, I know this is kind of big. Here it is next to our quick cooker. Here's our blender. I mean, if you have any of these big power tools, it'll give you an idea of size. It's a little bit bigger. It does fit neatly under my countertop, and I can just slide it in and out. It comes with a basket for rolling maybe French fries or things like of that nature. So it's got the rotisserie basket. It's got a rotisserie in here. So if you want to do a whole chicken, if you want to do a pork loin or a beef loin or something like that, you can. And then it's got your racks, and here you go. That's some of the stuff in here. And then it has a couple of racks, and these are what I use to dehydrate. So I can do a couple batches at a time, 2 at a time, 2 trays and and I just keep letting it run. It doesn't tend to heat up my kitchen a lot, and it is actually, if I want to reheat some pizza or something, it's a great tool. So anyway, I'm going to throw in some quick tips and some information about jerky for those of you who have maybe never tried it, making it or whatever. It's actually really easy, and it's hard to mess up. So I'm in. Anyway, everybody have a great day, and I will be back with more tips.